You are now listening to The Outsiders podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode, bombastic episode of The Outsiders. I'm your host, Sean Sims. I'm joined by my superstar co-host, Marvin Doc Cheatham. Hi, Doc. How's it going today?
Good day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everybody. God bless you all.
Well, it's going to be quite a show. We're going to actually have a guest on the show who's actually some sort of an expert at the topic we're going to be talking about in just a little bit one of the topics. But and we're going to cover, because this is the Outsiders Baltimore edition, and we're going to cover in some detail, because we're going to deep dive. It seems like everyone else has decided to stick their heads in the sand like the proverbial ostrich. But we're not going to do that. We're the Outsiders. And we're going to take a deep dive into what happened with this white powder business at the courthouse, Elijah Cummings Courthouse. And the mayor's race, we're going to talk about that as well. And what's going on in the Middle East. The president was there in his Carolina blue on Air Force One. But we're going to talk about that as well. But Doc, we do have to, as we do in the Outsiders, Doc, you can't see it, but you'll see the YouTube podcast, but I have my HBCU, Coppin State College hat on. I got the light blue, the hat, the Coppin State, so our alma mater. So I'm sporting that today on the show. Doc, hello. Yeah, he's on location. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Okay, well, we have a little technical difficulty. I was telling the audience that I have on my Coppin State, HBCU, the Coppin State, old school Coppin State hat, baseball cap.
Okay.
So I'm sporting that today.
I'm a 71 alumni.
Well, we alumni of the Coppin State, HBCUs, and speaking of Baltimore, because Coppin is Baltimore, the Ravens over in London, England, hello. Looks like they got the job done against the Titans. So what do you think? How do you think they look compared to the last game, Doc?
Well, I had two major concerns about the Ravens at this point. One is I'm real troubled as to who the trainers are that they have. I think we are having too many injuries, and I think we have to look at the trainers because I think at one point we had 8 guys not playing on a given day.
Yes.
But I think when I look at the quality of guys we have, both offense and defense, unless we keep not catching passes and not talking to each other on defense, I think we have the capabilities not only to go into the playoffs, but to be extremely successful. But I've been very displeased with not only the trainers, and I think our coach, our manager 2 games ago, made some bad calls.
They left 6 points on the board.
We got room for improvement, but the main thing is we're in first place right now.
Yeah, we're atop of the AFC North, king of the North. So we're atop of the AFC North, and again, we're in first place. Harbaugh left 6 points on the board 2 weeks ago. He did not make that mistake this past Sunday. I noticed that. He went. Justin Tucker kicked 6 field goals.
6 field goals.
He kicked 6 field goals, but that is what helped us to win. Harbaugh didn't try to be a riverboat gambler and took the daggone points, which is what he should have did 2 weeks ago. So
that's right. I agree.
John is listening to The Outsiders. He's listening to the show, and I know some of his people listen to the show. I know some of the Ravens do. Okay, but good win, good win. Now let's get into what happened at the Baltimore City Circuit Court this past week. There was white powder that was found, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get someone who is, I guess, somewhat of an expert on the Baltimore City Circuit Court. She was with the Maryland Judiciary for 25 years, and she's no longer with them, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in touch. I want everybody to hold tight, because I'm going to get in touch with Kim Banks. Let me go ahead and pull her up. Kim Banks is going to be our special guest to talk about this topic. So hold on just a second, Doc. Let me go ahead and reach out to Kim. Okay, I think we got her there. Kim, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Doc's on the line as well.
Hey,
How are you? All right, God bless you.
God bless you.
Okay, we got the teams all here. The Outsider Renegades. Kim, with that circuit court, I know you know what happened in regards to the white powder that was discovered. That was Judge Carrion, her chambers.
Yes.
And there was an envelope of white powder that was discovered. This is what I want to do first, because I want to hear, what is the protocol from someone who was at the circuit court and knows the judges well and so on. But I'm going to do this first. I'm going to play what should have happened at the circuit court. So just give a few minutes at all. You have to listen to the clip that I have now. And here we go.
Dozens of people evacuated after a hazmat situation in Tempe shut down several city buildings. This happening at 5th Avenue, shutting down the entire stretch of road from Middle to Forest.
As crews in hazmat gear carried out that envelope with a suspicious powder inside that we're told was sent to Tempe City Court building.
We test to see if there's any type of substance in it that might be related, similar to an anthrax or something.
Well, I'm going to stop because there's more of this. What she said is, the substance can be anthrax. Anthrax is a deadly biological agent. And there are others as well. It's not just anthrax. So this happened in Tempe, Arizona, but let me go on.
Similar to anything that might cause a threat,
Also new at 10 o'clock, a scare at the Arno Federal Building in Pensacola this afternoon. Court staff found a white powdery substance in an envelope and alerted authorities. The building was evacuated. The substance ended up being corrosion from a battery. No one was hurt. The U.S. Marshal's Office and the FBI are investigating.
Stunt on UCF's campus today prompted an evacuation. Witnesses and the police chief say someone threw a white substance in the air in a classroom and then just walked away.
And right now it looks like a happy ending to what was an intense afternoon here at the New Haven Register. Employees were actually outside of the building for nearly 3 hours as officials investigated a suspicious powder inside an envelope. All clear here now, but not too long ago, a very different scene. Take a look at this video. Now, police say the suspicious letter was found by an employee on the first floor of the building. Police say a substance was found inside an envelope. Employees were evacuated. 2 people were quarantined.
Suspicious powder scare hit Salem today, too. The State Department of Revenue was evacuated this morning after someone there opened a letter that contained a white powder. That powder now determined not to be dangerous.
Now, another envelope showed up at the Oregon State Capitol today inside a powdery substance, prompting an evacuation. KZI9 News reporter Bryce Lynn shows us the heavy response in Salem. Everything is back to normal here at the Oregon Department of Revenue, but earlier this morning, an unknown white powder in the mailroom brought up multiple law enforcement agencies. In the end, it turned out to be a false alarm.
Evacuated today after a hazardous materials scare. It happened around 12:30 this afternoon at the office of the Valley Opportunity Council on High Street. Executive Director Stephen Huntley told 22 News one of the employees opened a piece of mail that contained a white powder. They immediately called 911 and the building was evacuated.
Thanks so much. There's some breaking news to tell you about right now. Charlotte Police live over breaking news in Palmyra. The police department there on Broad Street has been evacuated after a letter was opened containing white powder. A hazmat team is on the scene.
Hello, I'm Amy Johnson. Authorities have just given the all clear in Irwindale, where employees evacuated a mail processing center for SoCal Edison this morning. Now, after finding a suspicious envelope with white powder inside. Now, KCAL9's Tina Patel has an update for us.
Anytime there is a substance that is suspicious and can't be identified, first responders take every precaution. That's why so many agencies responded here today. Take a look. This is a mail processing center for Southern California Edison. This morning, some employees going through incoming envelopes saw something that seemed out of the ordinary, a kind of powdery substance. They had just gone through training about suspicious packages, so they immediately evacuated and called 911. Specialized hazmat crews from the sheriff and fire departments came to investigate.
Now, here's the thing. You can go on YouTube, you can go online, you can pull up any search engine, and you can put in white powder, federal building, court buildings, schools, malls, wherever. And it's the same modus operandi. It's the same procedure, protocol, and that is when there's a white powder that is found, there is an immediate evacuation. There is no question. Let me make this perfectly clear, because I've spoke to people about this in regards to it, and the vast majority immediately, they got it, and they knew the regulations, procedures when it comes to white powder. But there were a few, for some reason, they were questioning the powder itself, and did they know what was in the powder? That's not the point. The point is this, and I want to make this perfectly clear. You have Sheriff Sam Cogan, who is supposed to protect the security of that circuit court building, and you have Xavier Conway, you have the police chief, you have the mayor, the police commissioner, I should say, the fire chief. So you have a slew of people who, as far as I'm concerned, fumbled the ball, and I'm going to use these words, and for my YouTube video people, they can see it. The three words I'm going to use: incompetent, negligent, and liable. That's the situation that you had, because they did find that the powder was not toxic, but at the time the powder was found, you don't know that. You don't know what it is. You don't know if there are other envelopes. You don't know if there's more envelopes with white powder. You don't know if it's possible bomb residue, anthrax, whatever the case may be, and that's what you do. Kim, what happens with the circuit court if there's a white powder substance that is found? Who makes that call to lock up the people and leave them locked up in the building, which is what happened? They left them locked in the building after the white powder was discovered. Who would make that call?
Well, the sheriff, as the person who's in charge of security, would be the one who would decide whether to lock down the building and prevent people from coming in or leaving. But it is crazy one of the things that you were told is that when there's some type of an anthrax scare or, you know, any kind of powder scare, you don't know, but like you said, it's just a powder. And there are other toxic powders out there besides anthrax. You don't keep everybody trapped in. You don't want to confine people indoors. You're going to let them out because you don't know. Now, yeah, they evacuated the judge's chambers, but what about everybody else on that second floor? Let's just start there. Did they evacuate everyone on the second floor, all of the chambers, all of the courtrooms? And why not the whole building until you find out what it is? You're supposed to evacuate the whole building, even if it's just for a half hour. The last thing you want to do is keep everybody cooped up, closed in, and this stuff may have, you know, may be transferring. That's a no-no. And, you know, aside from protocol, it's just common sense. So I don't know what the sheriff was doing, and Xavier Conway is in charge of the clerical staff. Mm-hmm. So, you know, even if the sheriff says everybody needs to be closed in, that's when you're going to have to make an executive decision and say, oh, heck no. I'm not leaving my people closed up in this building and we don't know what this stuff is. It could be poisonous. No. And leave them exposed. Let my staff out of the building until we figure out what's going on. So Sam and Xavier, they should have partnered on that situation and gotten everybody out. But as we can see, the health, safety, and security of the staff was not top priority.
Doc, what do you think about it?
So that is really, that's a shame.
Doc, what do you think about all of this?
Well, I think I have a different posture than y'all view on this issue. One, there has to be either an individual or a group that makes the call whether to evacuate or not to evacuate. My guess is it would have to be one or three people, if not all three. First, of course, would definitely be the sheriff. The second one should be the clerk himself. The third one is there are judges there, and there's a chief judge. I worked in a federal building for 46 years. I worked in the federal building, the U.S. Appraiser store, the government's federal building, and the Maryland Bank. There were always a group of people that would make the decision to evacuate, close or not close. So I sent an email to Kogan asking him who makes that decision. There's either one or three people or a group that needs to make that decision, because I'm saying the issue shouldn't just be the people working in the building, it should be the people in the building.
Yeah,
it should be who makes that decision. So I'm waiting for an email response back from them, because somebody or some group makes that decision. And it's clear, I totally agree with you, Kim, that somebody has a responsibility to make the call. The question is, who is it or what group is it? But it's clear they didn't make the right decision.
Yes.
Right, and you hit it. You hit all the points, actually. You said the sheriff, the chief judge, and the clerk of the court. Now, Judge Carry-On, whose chambers the powder was in, her chambers was evacuated. It's just odd that they got her out, got all of her staff out, made sure they were safe, but never mind everybody else. That's just, you know, but this is what's been going on at the circuit court for years.
What?
And somebody or some board or somebody needs to step in and start changing things. They need to take the public, like you said, and the staff in consideration and do better in making everything safe and secure for everybody, not just the bench.
Well, I want to say this. Doc, go ahead, and then I've got something I have to say.
Here's one additional thing. As I said, I worked for 46 years in 4 government buildings. What I did know was that in the 4 buildings that were federally occupied, I knew that as a union president, I was president of the National Labor Relations Board union, I knew that I had a right to ask who was making decisions, because one of the things you need to broad brush as well, there is a union that represents a large number of employees working in that building. He or she should have been asked as well. Who makes that decision? Now, they don't have to confer with the union president, but I know there's at least one, if not 2 or 3 unions in that building. They should have been asking the hard questions as well.
Well, I sent, and 2 things I want to say. First, quickly, I sent an email because, Doc, I called Sheriff Sam Cogan's office, and they gave me to someone to speak to, and then they gave me to someone. They must have given me to about 3 or 4 different entities. Finally, they gave me to this public information officer. I'm very familiar with him. I've never spoken to them because he's never called me. I guess he thinks he's some kind of prima donna. I'm talking about you, Bradley Tanner. So Bradley Tanner, I've sent him numerous emails. I believe he's only emailed me back once, maybe twice. But here's the thing. Good afternoon, Bradley. This is what it said. Why was the Circuit Court for Baltimore City, Elijah Cummings building, not evacuated yesterday, October the 16th, 2023, because I sent this to him on the 17th. Once white powder in an envelope was discovered in the building. It's one question. It's a simple question. I have not received anything back from Bradley Tanner, and I want to make this perfectly clear. Frank Conway Sr., who was the clerk of the court, there is no way that Frank Conway Sr., who was actually a man as opposed to a 23, 24-year-old child, who's the clerk of the court, who was actually a man, he would have stood up to Sam Cogan. He's a bear size of a guy. He's a big guy. Frank was a little guy. It would not have mattered. He would have protected his people. If there was white powder in that circuit court, he would have gotten his people out, and he would have made sure to evacuate them because he would have protected his people. So you've got somebody in there 24 years old who did not protect his people, who's responsible, who's an elected official. He was elected, who's responsible for the protection. Let me make this perfectly clear, because this is no cupcake issue, and it's being whitewashed, and people are turning their back and putting their head in the sand like an ostrich. He was elected. He is responsible. He is responsible for the lives of those people who are his employees, 300 of them. And what did he do in a time of an emergency? Did he stand up for his people? Did he say, no, I want my people out of here? We do not know what this substance is. It can be anthrax. Did he do that? No, he did not do that. He left his people in there, and he let Sam Cogan keep his people. And then that's who they are. And you're responsible for them, Xavier. You're responsible for them. Just going into the office whenever you want, staying at home playing video games, whatever the hell goes on with you, you're responsible for people's lives. This is how serious this is. And I am not going to lie down, because I don't lay down for nobody. And I'm not going to lay down on this issue. And I want to make that perfectly clear.
At the least, Sean, I want to know why something wasn't sent out to the employees to explain what was going on. You know, every step of the way.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That's just the that's what they do. They just leave everybody blind to what's going on. And so after it's been dealt with long gone, and then they'll say, oh, by the way, last week this is what happened. But when that situation first happened, especially when the decision was made to put that building on lockdown, not letting anyone come in or go out, people have a right to know what the heck is going on. And it's just professional. It's just professional and courteous to put something out to let everybody know, all the employees, and find a way to let the public know that's in the building what's happening. You know, so that if they see somebody walking around with a hazmat suit, they don't go into panic mode or feel like, well, dang, nobody said anything to us. We didn't know this was happening. Are we safe? Start asking a bunch of questions, as they should. So, you know, it's that mentality that people just don't matter.
Exactly.
My question is, I got to take it a little bit further than y'all should do, because there are citizens who are in that building. Here's my question. We need to find out, if it's a snow day, who makes the call to close the building? There's someone or some group that makes that decision. Yeah, and I'm saying that's what we need to find out, who makes that decision.
Doc, the chief judge. Kim's saying the chief judge makes that decision.
Judge Carrion is the chief judge.
He's a part of that decision making.
Well, she, Audrey.
Yeah, it's a he.
She.
Okay. I'm saying someone has worked for the federal government, and I knew that there was a decision maker. We just had to determine who makes that call, because I think, yes, the clerk needs to be blamed, the sheriff needs to be blamed, and if you now saying the chief clerk, not the chief clerk, the head of the thing, then that makes sense. But somebody or some group has to make the call, and that's what we need to blame first and foremost. But I would say as well, the clerk needs to look after his people, but I don't work for the clerk. I'm a voter. I'm in there in the court. Who's going to protect me? And I'm saying somebody makes that decision.
See, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that goes back to the point of partnership. So that is why it was always important and necessary for the sheriff, the clerk, and the chief administrative judge to work as a trio. You have to work together and keep each other abreast of everything that's going on and make decisions as a unit when it affects such a vast number of people. Had that happened, then this probably would have gone down a lot differently. Now, as far as, like you say, the public coming in there, they don't work for the sheriff or the clerk of the court, so who's going to protect their interests? That's when the administrative judge could have given instructions to the bench.
That's the title, the administrative judge. That's the title, that's right.
Yeah, the administrative judge to give instructions to the bench. So if you have people in your courtroom, please make an announcement that this is happening and this is how we're dealing with it. That's all it had to happen. Was just a courteous, they interrupt court to make announcements when it benefits them any other time. So what was different here?
Well, it looks like the Judge Carrion, and now I don't know exactly what happened, but you're saying that you have the chief judge, you have the clerk of the court, and you have the sheriff, and this triage, this triangle, if you will, these three people make decisions of this importance when it comes to the court and the protection of the people. And you're right, Doc, there were citizens there as well. So, and they were locked in. So they're making this call, but this is what I noticed. I noticed that Judge Carrion was evacuated. I noticed that.
Right, Judge Carrion and her staff were out.
Yeah, they were taken out. But what about the other people?
Everybody else.
I mean, this is an atypical Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake moment. Bounced, rolled out, and left those people in there. And another thing, and I'll talk with many people about this, And this is what they brought up to me. They said, Sean, if this was Wicomico County Circuit Court, Frederick County Circuit Court, if this was Dorchester County Circuit Court, if this was St. Mary's, Carroll County, Prince George's, Montgomery, I can go on and on. If this was their circuit court and white powder was found, you can bet your bottom dollar they would have had those people out of there so fast that your head would swim. They would have had those people in those other counties. But no, you guess what, everybody? It's Baltimore City. Baltimore City has not gotten up, and I'm going to bring this, and I'm going to segue this together. This MDEC, this electronic court system, these other counties I just named, Wicomico, Dorchester, Frederick, St. Mary's, Carroll County, and these other counties throughout the state, they have the MDEC, but guess who does not? Baltimore City Circuit Court. So just like the Baltimore City Circuit Court folk were left in that building with white powder, they did not know what it was at the time. Other buildings around the country get evacuated. It could have been anthrax. Thank goodness, because the liability issue would have gone through the roof if that was anthrax or another biological agent or maybe even bomb residue. And gratefully, no other packages were sent that had any white powder as well. But the fact and the point still remains. Baltimore City Circuit Court is being treated differently than the other circuit courts in the state.
What union represents the majority of employees?
What was that?
What union represents the majority of employees that work in the building?
I don't know.
Ask me.
Ask me. Okay.
Ask me needs to be asked a question as well.
Yes, they do. And as a matter of fact, I did send it out. I asked them, did they care about their people? Did they care about the union members, or did they care about the employees? I sent that email out to Patrick Moran and Joe Cox. So I don't, do they? Joe Cox sent it back, said, yeah, we do. Well, really, Joe? You do? You care about your people? Hey, Joe, why don't you and Patrick, and why don't you ask me, the union, why don't you show that you really care, Joe? Don't sing it, bring it. That's what I have to say to that response. Because I certainly didn't see it, and I don't want to just get off of this issue. Doc, you a civil rights icon. You're president of the Baltimore City chapter, NAACP, #1 chapter in the country. What do you think about what I just said about these other counties, Wicomico, Dorchester, St. Mary's, Carroll County, Frederick County, Howard County, and the other counties? If this would have happened, if there would have been white powder, white substance found in an envelope in those circuit courts, they would have been treated differently. What say ye?
What I say is there's one additional caveat as to whether or not those counties would have done something, and that caveat would be, were the employees white? Because I had hell going into counties like Carroll County, where a Baltimore City child was killed with him sitting on his chest, and he ended up dying. And I went to Carroll County, and the white folks ran me and my group out of there. So it's not only the issues themselves, but it depends upon how the counties deal with the black people who live in those counties. I don't ever want to be in Carroll County again. I tell folks, I don't go to certain counties late at night because I don't want to be in their counties at night.
Wow.
The racism that is there.
Well,
that was definitely with Carroll County. And I even had Alvin tell y'all too.
Sure.
I even had the NAACP saying, oh, Dr. you can't come into our county. I said, the hell I can't. One of my kids got killed in your county. I'm coming into your county.
And they said you can't come into their county. They said that to you?
We have, how would I put it? We have respect. It's like I got problems with one of the counties talking about what's happening in Baltimore City. But if it affects every everyone, you can't just say it's a Baltimore City issue, it's a Baltimore County issue. You're going to affect anyone that goes into that area, then it affects us. So, you know, I had one of my children was killed as a result of being in a I guess, a child rehabilitation program, and it was killed in Carroll County. Well, I said, if it affects my kids, I'm going to go into that particular county. And that's the kind of way I feel with one of the counties with the NAACP. You got to be careful when you tread, because we respect different counties, but when it affects all of us, anything goes. And I think with this issue, I think there are at least 4 entities that have something to do. Y'all said the chief of the judges, the clerk of the court, the sheriff of the court, and it deals with what union was there, because they have some responsibility as well. You represent people, and union members pay dues, so you have a responsibility as well, unions.
Yes, they do.
I'm a lifetime union member, over 46 years being a union member.
Wow. Well, we're going to keep our eye on that, because there are questions that are out there. Doc, you haven't had your question answered. I haven't had my question answered. Bradley Tanner, Public Information Officer. So this guy, we have not had our questions answered. And citizens of Baltimore, Maryland judiciary employees, because the Baltimore City Circuit Court, it's a state agency, folks. It's not a city agency, it's a state agency. So Westmore, Governor Westmore, what do you have to say about this? You're the head of the state, you're the governor. It's a state agency. Judy Rupp is the state court administrator. What does Judy Rupp, the state court administrator, have to say about how her people were treated? Is she okay that these folks in Baltimore City, that the employees that are under her were kept in a building where white powder was found and not evacuated? Is she fine with that? Is she okay with that? Is Westmore okay? Governor Moore, are you okay with that? Is that fine with you? Is this the state you're running? Because you said, what did he say? Baltimore was a priority or something? Recently he was talking about Baltimore. Baltimore's a priority. Something to that effect.
I think he's even a better term than that. I heard it on one of the local radio stations. The governor, I like the governor. He used the word, I am bullish about Baltimore.
Bullish, that's it. That's the term, Doc.
He used the word bullish.
Bullish. Well, let's see. Let's see. Put your money where your mouth is, Jack. You said you're bullish about Baltimore. What did you have to say about what happened to citizens of the state of Maryland who were locked in a building, locked in a building where white powder was found that could have been a biological agent, anthrax, residue from a bomb. There could have been multiple envelopes in there with white powder. And people who are listening, and the people I spoke with, they were very upset. I mean, they were very, very upset about what happened.
They had every right. You're 100% correct. They had every right. And to be leery, the issue has not been corrected. It's okay that we're bringing this up, but what did you know, and when did you do something when you found out about it?
Exactly. But we're going to keep our eye on this, folks. This is not going away.
Great job, both of y'all, great job.
Thank you. It's not going away. It is not going away.
Y'all just coming after me.
As long as people behave themselves and act like they have some sense and stop stabbing people in the back and stop taking away people's civil rights, trouncing their civil rights, retaliation, harassment that's going on in Baltimore City in the workplace is horrendous. And you have elected officials who are at the helm of it, guiding the harassment and the retaliation and the sexual harassment and all else that goes, speaking of bullying and intimidation that goes on in government agencies and in the city. So, and I wanted to segue into this because I want to play, it's hard to hear because I don't know why these people don't get audio people to put this stuff together when they're supporting or giving their support for a candidate. Sheila Dixon has the support of someone. It's going to be a little hard to hear, but I'm going to have to translate later. But Sheila Dixon has the support of someone for her candidacy, and this is his announcement for his support for Sheila Dixon as mayor of Baltimore City. Here we go. Cue it up.
Xavier Conway for the circle of Baltimore City. The reason I'm supporting Sheila Dixon is because we need someone who's going to give a future for our community.
Why would you be out in a wind tunnel and do a campaign ad, support ad for a candidate, and you can't hear? I mean, no, that's Xavier Conway in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
No, this is what it says. It's on Sheila Dixon's Facebook page. He did a video, I guess in a park. I guess it was a windstorm. You can't hear it, but he's giving his support for Sheila Dixon. I'm going to play the rest that you can't hear, but I want to let it play out, so it's just a little bit longer.
Yeah, for our children, and as you can see all around the city that
and you got people talking. I mean, so unprofessional.
But the city government and the city basic services cease to exist, and we need someone who has the experience, has the leadership, has the.
And we need someone who has the experience and the vision. That's it. I had enough. Who in the world shoots? I mean, you can't even hear it. But yeah, that is the clerk of the court, the 23-year-old kid who's supporting Sheila Dixon, who did not get his people out of the circuit court building, Elijah Cummings building. And you know Elijah Cummings would have gotten those people out of there, right? You know, yes. Elijah Cummings would have ripped the walls down. I'll give that to him. He was a fighter. There's no way in the world.
I totally agree with that.
Huh?
I think I totally agree with Elijah being a fighter.
Okay, well, the talker.
He's like our current Baltimore City State's attorney. He's a talker. But I don't know whether that's someone that's always lived in his district. I don't know how much of a fighter he was.
You think he would have left those people in that building?
I think it's a good possibility.
Oh, see, now I'm trying to get...
During the Freddie Gray riots, I had to invite him to our neighborhood. I had him and his people come and do a walkthrough because I said on TV, Elijah hadn't been in my community. Well, Elijah brought his people in, God rest his soul, love and dearly. But he admitted after the walkthrough, he and his people, they had not been in my neighborhood.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna give him more credit. I think he would.
So it's like right now, I hadn't seen Quiet Steel Boomer.
Oh boy. Where has he been?
I'm not one of those who's gonna sit there and go along and get along. If I got a problem with someone, I'm gonna say it like I'm saying it. I'm saying Quiet West Baltimore, Matthew Henson, which is the biggest community in West Baltimore, we ain't seen you.
Uh-oh. You hear that, Quasi?
But the Jewish folks have seen you and heard from you. Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
I told it like I said, family. I'm sorry.
Well, look. You're talking, you're preaching to the choir. I'm a straight shooter. I call it like I see it as well. But I digress. I think I'm going to give Elijah Cummings a little bit more credit. I think he would have gotten the people out of the building if it was a possibility of anthrax. Quasi, haven't heard anything from him on the issue as well, but
he's at a resort in Jamaica.
Excuse me?
He's at a resort in Jamaica.
He's at a resort in Jamaica?
Yeah, he's somewhere on vacation.
Oh, well, okay.
He does not have time to do his job.
Well, he's drinking Mai Tais, I guess, on the beach. Well, I'm going to play, because Sheila Dixon has her support, and she has her supporters, and really, do we want to put Sheila back in? Do you want to put the fox back into the chicken coop? Do you want to do that? Well, let me go ahead and play this.
Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
All right, let's jump right in. Why do you want to be mayor?
People stop me every day with problems and issues. Let me say this, I love my private life, but I love the people and I love the city. And right now, we need accountability, we need leadership.
Stop, Did she just say that?
Yes, she did. She loves the city.
That's comical. I mean, let me go on. Really? Accountability, leadership. Let me go on.
We need management. We need to be able to tackle these tough issues that are not being done. We've got to go after, we've got to deal with crime. Our neighborhoods and communities don't feel safe. Yes, crime is going down, but we can even do better. I've shown that we can do better. We've got to go after the illegal guns on the street. We've got to get a handle on our juveniles. We've got to have accountability. We've got to be aggressive in recruiting and retaining police officers. Our officers, and I say this all the time, have to, even if we have a shortage, their presence in the neighborhood and communities and businesses are important. You gotta walk the beat, not for 5 seconds. Get out of the cars, talk to folks in the community, talk to the businesses, hear what their concerns are as we do that. And I know that we can make a difference. Number 2, education, accountability. The mayor.
Wait, here we go again. Accountability. She likes using that word. Let me go on.
Across the school board, with the exception of 2 individuals, we have to mandate accountability. We've got to bring all the stakeholders together.
I agree with that, but there should be another person doing that, not you. You are not the person to talk about accountability. I think that's a joke. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. You people lost your mind, really? I mean, let's look at the situation. You talk about, Doc, do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to step on some toes. So y'all better put your steel toe tip boots on.
Sean, what are you doing with your mic?
Because I'm going to, that's not me. That's Doc. Okay, anyway, you talk about the situation. I mean, this is comical. Baltimore, as far as the other cities and people I talk to, other cities and other places, they look at Baltimore with our leadership and the mayoral role especially as a joke. This is a clown show. This is a clown show. You got a guy in there who is, oh my goodness, the BG&E backstabbing deal. The guy is incompetent, completely incompetent. Doesn't know his head from a hole in the wall. This GVRS grift, all with Monty and Safe Streets and all the other stuff that's going on. And then he's an embarrassment. And then you have Sheila Dixon, who wants to run for mayor again. A national embarrassment. National. Yeah, I'm going to do crime. I'm going to fight crime. And we got to come together and we got to fight crime. Education, we got to get our people educated in crime. Sheila, let me ask you a question. Sheila. What's your relationship with David Smith and Sinclair Broadcasting? Why is Fox behind Sheila Dixon's big time? David Smith and Sheila Dixon, do those in Sinclair Broadcasting, that doesn't mix. That's like oil and water. That does not mix. So I don't get that. I don't get what's going on. Education, crime, and y'all forgive me, look at here, I messed up and the gift cards, I didn't really mean that. You're taking money out of low income families' pockets. There was 12 indictments. Obama didn't want to come anywhere near you when he came through Baltimore. And when what was it, the mayor's thing? They didn't want to come anywhere near you. They didn't want to touch you with a 10-foot pole because you're kryptonite. And so you got these two national embarrassments running for mayor. People, what is wrong with you? Why don't you stand up and say, wait a second, there's got to be somebody else that we can choose from other than these two chuckleheads? What say ye? What do you guys think?
Well,
Be honest.
Like I said before. They can't do anything else.
Oh my goodness.
You know, they're stuck. They're just stuck in this place, and so she just keeps going for that mayoral position, or a position of power, or a position that's going to get her a lot of attention, or a position that's going to get her access to more money to steal. I don't know, but she's up there.
Oh,
you know,
boy.
Because what is wrong with moving on and doing something else?
Yes.
Why is she stuck in that place of, I have to be mayor? Well, because Baltimore City is corrupt, it's dirty, it's a great place for someone to get a political position if all they want to do is have a title and get their hands in the pot.
And she loves that strong mayor system.
Why she is stuck there.
Yeah, she loves the strong mayor system because the mayoral system in Baltimore is like a dictator. So I guess she wants to be dictator in charge again. And this is a disgrace. This is an embarrassment. I got family from Philadelphia. They're looking at us like, what is wrong? What, really? Really?
It is an embarrassment.
I mean, it's an embarrassment. And then they're trying to make her look like, and this is the part that gets me, I used to do this, and in the past, and this, I had brown lunches when people had problems with sexual harassment and retaliation and discrimination in the workplace, then I just go ahead and not have brown lunch. We have brown lunch and talk about it. Now you can go to the office of the Inspector General, and you can talk. No, you don't go to the office of the Inspector General, bubblehead. I sent her the manual. You don't go there. You go to your supervisor, your manager, you got HR department, and then you can go to EEOC or EEO representative. What was that, Kim?
And the other thing is that what worked for her then will not necessarily work for her now. She has to bring herself into the present and adapt to the way things have changed. You can't use the same formula that you were using back then. There are different situations, different issues, different problems. So you have to bring some fresh, new ideas to the table.
I believe that there is.
Well, we can't continue to have the same old.
I'm sick of it.
Mentalities.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
Personalities.
I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick of it. The same old crap. The same crap people, and I'm sick of it. Now, here's the thing. You do have somebody who enters the race, Robert Bob Wallace, and I did a 4-minute video on that, what I thought. And I do believe that he's a man with integrity. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He does missionary work. He's a class guy. He's a husband. He's a father. He's got 5 successful kids, 10 grandkids. And he's got some really good ideas. Now, the people of Baltimore need to open up their ears and open up their eyes and turn their heads away from the past and the crap and look at somebody who's got fresh ideas, really good ideas, and is a winner. He's a successful businessman. He's a winner. So I'm excited about the fact that you do have somebody now in the race who is a serious, viable candidate. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no comparison between Brandon Scott and Sheila Dixon, the past, that ilk, and Robert Bob Wallace. There's no comparison. But the people of Baltimore need to find that out.
From a different angle.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I like to approach this from a different angle. I think when we look at candidates, we as the voters who are going to vote for them need to ask ourselves this 3-pronged question. What have you done?
Yep.
What are you doing?
Yep.
And what will you do and put it in writing?
Exactly.
And my community, Matthew Henson Neighborhood Association, we just issued a week and a half ago to candidates, and we will send them to all the candidates that are running citywide, like the mayor, the comptroller, the president of the council. We will send it to those that are running for U.S. Senate and U.S. Congress, and then we will send it to our council person. What we have is a 14 questionnaire that we give to them, and we tell them these are the issues that deals with our community. There are 250 communities in Baltimore City. One of our biggest failures is we as citizens have done a failing job in who we have elected.
Yes.
What we have right now is an embarrassment on all levels. So we're saying, one, if you represent a community or you're president of a community, have your community create 12 or 14 issues that are important to you and your community. Give those questions or issues to the candidates individually. This is what we do with Matthew Henson. We give them the question, and we got them sent out already, and we ask you to respond to these 14 questions. And as a result of those 14 questions we give you, what have you done, what are you doing, and what are you proposing to, but put it in writing. And if you did not pass our questionnaire with at least a 70, we don't even allow you to come to our community and talk to us, because we're not on the same agenda. Baltimore City residents, we have failed for the most part, not 100%, but for the most part, in electing good people. We got what we got today. We can't blame nobody but ourselves because we put them in office. Well, we're suggesting to you, we're going to send to you the questionnaire, and you can tell it to your community. Like I did at one president, she said, well, Doc, you need to add the issue about bicycles. I said, we don't need to put bicycles. You need to put that in your community. We ain't got no bicycle problem because our community can't even afford bicycles. So we're saying, family, we are to blame for what we have that represents us. And we're saying we got to do a better election job in May of next year. And you do it by asking them the hard questions. And if they've done nothing for you, like I tell folks right now, I'm still not satisfied with the guy that's the state's attorney, because all I got so far is put back around Ken Howard David. I've gotten a lot of damn promises, but he ain't been in office long enough to do anything so far. He made some good promises. The same thing I would say, and I love Bob Moore, but until he answers our questionnaire, we ain't vote for him either.
Bob Wallace.
Bob Wallace.
Robert Bob Wallace. And you know what? He needs to answer those questions. I'm going to talk to him about it. As a matter of fact, these other community organizations all throughout the city, which you spoke of, they need to put together. Yours can be used as, I would say, like a template.
We've already sent it to Roberts.
Good.
We already sent it to Sheila Dixon. There's some other candidates that are running, like in our district, 7. We sent it to a candidate there. But I'm saying very candidly, voters, we have failed in who we've elected. The best way we can do more and better is ask these folks the hard questions. Now, they're all going to fail when it comes to food markets. Ain't none of y'all done a damn thing about food markets. None of you. Right.
Well, I think that's a great idea. It needs to be done, and we're gonna press that.
We'll send it to you if you want it.
Yes, well, they'll send you whatever you need. These community organizations, so that they can be involved with actually looking at vetting, letting their communities know, letting the folks who live where they live know, hey, this candidate didn't fill out any information. This candidate, on the other hand, filled it all out. We like the answers, and our community is going to support this candidate. And that's how you do it. Education. And that's how you do it, education. But wow, that was good. I'm going to do this, okay? Because we're going to continue all of this. But I have to talk about that war in Israel, because that's big time stuff. We talked about it last week, the Gog and Magog situation, and Turkey, which is a part of that crew, that Gog and Magog, 2,500-year-old prophecy by Ezekiel in the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, that is starting to come to fruition, because one of the countries that was mentioned in the region of Togarmah is Turkey. And Turkey they just turned. Blinken went over there and started talking about how, I guess he's with the Jews, or his Jewish background or something to that effect. And Erdogan, who's the president of Turkey, said, oh really? Well, I'm Muslim. It's on. So now you got Turkey, who's turned full tilt against Israel as well. And this thing is developing and growing, but I want to play a clip of President Biden, and I want to talk about what he had to say when he was over in Israel. Let me cue that up.
More than 1,300 innocent Israelis killed, including at least 31 American citizens by the terrorist group Hamas. Hundreds of young people at a music festival. The festival was for peace, gunned down as they ran for their lives. Scores of innocents, from infants to elderly grandparents, Israelis and Americans, taken hostage. Children slaughtered, babies slaughtered, entire families massacred. Rape, beheadings, bodies burned alive. Hamas committed atrocities that recall the worst ravages of ISIS, unleashing pure, unadulterated evil upon the world.
We cannot turn a blind eye to evil. We must stand firm with Israel. And I am hopeful that the Biden administration will do much more than just refreezing the $6 billion that is headed to Iran. We know what to do. We've got to squeeze out any type of financial resources they're getting through that, through also working with our G7 colleagues to make sure that we return to a posture of maximum pressure. Bone-crushing sanctions.
To agree to the delivery of life-saving humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza, based on the understanding that there will be inspections and that the aid should go to civilians, not to Hamas. Is to agree the humanitarian assistance can begin to move from Egypt to Gaza.
Now, wait a minute. First of all, he's talking about giving $100 billion, $100 million, I'm sorry, and aid in Gaza. Who's in control of Gaza? Who's in control of Gaza? Hamas. So if you give $100 million, already it's $6 billion, and then you give $100 million for support, aid, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Hamas cares about the fact that these people are starving and they use the Palestinians as human shields, and you're gonna give them $100 million in Gaza for aid? There's got to be another way to aid the people. Of course, the people in Gaza aren't going to ask Hamas to feed them, even though Hamas is in charge. They're not going to do that. So what is Biden doing? I don't understand. And troops are going over there. Doc, you were really hot about the fact that you don't want American troops, even though we know some of them are there now, but you don't want American troops getting involved in this and this money that's going over. What do you think about this, Doc, this situation?
Well, last week, I indicated that the troops were already there.
Yes.
That there was a secret group of fighters that were already there. I think the main thing we ought to have America doing is saying very clearly, cease fire, both of you. Because I think both groups have done some wrong. And I still don't know the real answer as to who bombed that hospital. Who was guilty of it? I think we should not be spending all this money sending folks that are going to lose their lives from America when I think both sides got some blame. Now, I can't talk for the Hamas. I think they are an awful group that are doing some awful things. But some of these things that I'm hearing, I know that Israel has a major spokesperson that comes on all the TV stations, and he's the one that speaks. Well, just because coming from Israel, I can agree or I can disagree. America seems to be afraid to disagree with Israel. And I'm saying, sending millions of dollars, what about the millions we need here in food deserts in America? We're going to give all this money and we're going to lose lives. And I'm saying the main thing America should be saying is Israel and Palestine. Ceasefire, damn it. Ceasefire, come to the table. All we know is hundreds if not thousands of people are going to be killed because neither one of you are going to say you're wrong or you've done something wrong. Nobody's admitted to doing anything wrong. They're all saying somebody else did.
Well, I think that when Hamas went into Israel, and like I said last week, that security on that border and the intelligence of Mossad and their agencies to not know that that was being planned, and had been planned for some time, and the way it was implemented and just went through their fencing and so on, the way it was done, that has to be investigated, period, because that doesn't make any sense, rational sense. But since Hamas did go in and committed atrocities, horrific acts, I believe that Israel, they may cease fire, but I believe that Israel is resolved in eradicating and pulverizing Hamas. They're not going to stop.
Hamas is going to be the only ones that get killed, and I think we all agree, Hamas is not going to be the only people get killed.
No, they're not.
No.
But they're not going. This is my opinion of what I see happening. They're not going to stop. There will be casualties. There will be collateral damage. Hamas does use people as human shields. We know that. So they are responsible, and hugely responsible, because that's their practice. They use people as human shields. These tunnels that they have under in Gaza all over, I believe the hostages are separated in different parts of those tunnels all throughout Gaza. I don't know how they're going to get them out. That is a serious situation. I also believe that Gog and Magog prophecy in Ezekiel 38 and 39, I believe that there may be folks who are trying to implement the prophecy so that there can be a vacuum in the world, so there can be a reset, a global reset. You cannot have a global reset with the Muslim countries the way they are with Russia, who does not want this global reset. And there are other geopolitical things involved as well. And that's what I believe. I believe this situation is being set up to happen. And I will say this, whether it's now or whether it's a year from now, 10 years from now, or however it goes down, nobody or nothing is going to stop that Gog and Magog prophecy from happening. Period. That's my belief. Kim, what do you think of this? And we're going to...
I think all of this is such a tragedy. I mean, and what's happening to the civilians is just, it just breaks my heart. I mean, the fact that somebody would cut the head off of a baby is
horrific.
It's like both sides are like two little boys fighting over who got more mashed potatoes than the other. You know, and then somebody's like, but I didn't get any gravy on mine. I'm with you, Doc. Come to the table. Let's have some peace talks. It's just incredible. What is all of this about?
I told you. I explained
all of this human waste, all these people dying. What?
It's about power.
None of this makes any sense.
It's about power. It's about a global reset. There's a global reset plan. World War I, that was a global reset. Do your history, look it up. World War II, in tongue-tied. That was a global reset. Do your history. First you had the League of Nations in World War I. Remember, they called it the Great War at first because there was no World War II. And it was the League of Nations. And then, remember, World War II, there was the United Nations that came out of that, remember? So after this global reset, this World War III scenario, there's going to be a one world government. It's going to be even more that's going to come out of it in a global, one world, one monetary, one religion system. It's a global reset to bring it in. That's what's going on. I don't know how far this is going to go in implementing that global reset, but it looks really serious. And those people, I was told and I was taught as a Christian to pray for the safety of Israel. That's what I was taught. That's what I do. And we should pray for those people.
Not the Palestinians?
Well, I'm only going with what it says in the Bible. It says, pray for the safety of Israel, and it says to let me finish. But let me finish. I'm not finished my thought. Okay. It also says to pray for those who are not believers, to pray for them and to lead and guide and to be loving and kind as Jesus was. That's what it says. So you have to be loving and kind to the Palestinians. Okay? You have to do that. You have to show them mercy. But at the same time, with Hamas and what's going on there, they're in control of Gaza. They're in control of the Palestinians who are living in Gaza because they were set up as the government. So this is a very delicate situation, okay? It's a very delicate situation, and on that note, because we have to go, and we're going to continue this. This is not over. We're going to continue this conversation on Israel and the war in that situation. But I want to thank my... Let's be even keel. Let's get both sides of the story, because there are three sides to every story. We only hear one side. Well, no, I agree. That's why I said there should be an investigation. What happened, how they got in, how all that went down. Because that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense. See, I wanted to make that clear. Okay. But we are going to continue this conversation. And I want to thank Superstar Doc Cheatham, my co-host and my special guest and former co-host and Banks Report. Kim, I'm going to have your Banks Report on next. We're going to have your Banks Report and continue the Banks Report from next week. But I want to thank you all for being on The Outsider, and everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching our YouTube channel. And The Outsider is growing and growing. And guys, thanks for being on to this week.
Yes, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. I always enjoy this. It's been all out.
Okay, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are now listening to The Outsiders Podcast.